Today's episode is brought to you by the book Everyone is a Sinner But Me, available now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Pre-recorded from Volpes Studios, it's the MCS1 show, featuring Caleb, Hannah, and now your host, MCS1.
Welcome to another exciting edition of the MCS1 show. I'm MCS1. Once again joined with my favorite co-host, Caleb, Hannah.
Always good to be here.
Always good to have you, Caleb. So, we got an awesome follow-up show from a little topic we covered a while ago. We have vidangel Volume 2.
Hooray!
Yeah. So, why are we doing this right now when there hasn't been too much vidangel updates? There's been a few.
Nothing really over the top, though.
Nothing really over the top, but the reason we're doing this is because, honestly, I think our first show that we did on vidangel, I didn't really communicate how much I hate them and I don't like them.
Yeah, I don't think that was done enough. It was too objective.
No, I was very objective and I tried to be very non-biased. And then I've noticed as I've done a few shows since then, I have injected into episodes how much I don't like vidangel side jokes.
So now
constantly.
Now it needs to be an official stance.
Now it needs to be an official stance. The MCS1 show does not support vidangel. Even if they bothered to sponsor us.
No, if vidangel offered to sponsor us, I'd be like, Mark, let's just say no.
Yeah, and they would make us filter out our swear words.
Yeah, I mean, we would.
Not that we're already not bleeping the crap out of them.
But bleeping a swear word is funny.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And that was the stance we took last time.
Yeah.
And also, vidangel should also probably just say, no, we're ending these as a joke. It's a parody.
See, and that would be fine. That would be funny. It'd be.
That would be so funny.
You could call it clean parody.
Oh my gosh. So ridiculous.
I'd be fine with that. That would be hilarious.
I kind of would be too.
It would
But
definitely,
I still hate them.
It would definitely make Deadpool a very different movie.
Yes.
Could you imagine that with all the F words bleeped out in Deadpool?
Oh man, I kind of wish it would happen. Anyway, so we're gonna talk today a little bit more about why vidangel, what kind of was created, not just like the market for it, but what even caused the market to spawn for this. We touched on a little bit of this in our first show, but we were so busy discussing the legality of crap and a bunch of other things that we didn't really get to even dive into the culture of why this is a valuable market.
Yeah. Who basically who their customers are, what the marketing teams are aiming for, things like that.
Yeah, and we discussed a little bit about this, but we didn't really go in depth into it. We talked about clean flicks a little bit last time. We don't need to rehash that. A couple other things, but I'm going to start this off with a popular Mormon community parable, I guess. They call it like parable of the brownies with dog poop or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And you can look this up online. I've heard it in Sunday school lessons and things like that. Full disclosure, I am Mormon, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
I think we've established that.
Yeah, I think we established that quite a bit.
But if you're new,
yeah. So basically, here's what the parable is. And this is just the distilled version, and I'll post a couple links in the show notes so people can go and read the full story if they want, or if they haven't heard it already.
You want to read the full story of the parable of the dog poop.
I know, seriously. So, there were some kids who was talking to a father. I've heard it be with a father. I've also heard it be with a mother.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways.
I've heard it both ways. For this story, though, the way I want to tell it, because it involves cooking later.
Right.
And I don't see the dad cooking.
Definitely not brownies.
Yeah, not brownies, which is involved later. Spoiler alert for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, for the next 5 minutes of spoilers.
I know. So let's say it's a mom for
for the purpose of the show, yeah.
For the purpose of the show. So there's a mom and she has some children who want to go see a PG-13 movie. Oh my gosh, a PG-13 movie. That was her first reaction when she heard this. To see a PG-13 movie.
Wait, which movie was it?
I don't know. It never says in these because it's a parable. I mean, it's never anything specific.
Maybe it was
probably Austin Powers.
Yeah. It's got to be something like that.
I mean, like his accent, Mom. It's real funny.
It's shagadelic, baby.
Yeah. So these kids, they want to see a PG-13 movie, and they ask their parents for permission. First of all, it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission, kids.
Yeah, just go and then be like, sorry.
Just throwing that out
My
there.
bad. I already did.
When you're at that age, though, and a PG-13 movie that you want to see is like the worst thing on your list, I don't really think you're a bad kid.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you a lot of benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yeah, exactly. So the mom obviously freaks out, throws a fit, kind of. Actually, in the story, she says, no, we're not doing that. But they're like, but mom, it only has a few bad parts. It only has a few swear words, maybe some violence. Let's just say some suggestive sexual stuff.
Sure.
In there. A typical PG-13 movie. Not quite like Austin Powers.
No.
Austin Powers is kind of extreme.
Yeah, that one's a little far.
Yeah.
There.
And so the mom still says no. And the kids are like, okay, that, they said no, whatever. They stop. So
Those are some good kids.
Yeah, those are some good kids. The mom feels it's, I got to drive my point deeper into these children. So then the mom one day gathers the kids together. And the kids are, like, oh, hi, Mom. How are you? And she's like, kids, I made you these nice warm brownies. The kids are like, oh, thanks. And the mom says, oh, I made these brownies with special gourmet ingredients, the freshest of the fresh. Nice organic eggs from free-range chickens, blah, 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 blah. All this other stuff. And the kids are like, wow, Mom, you're so awesome. And I'm sure the kids were probably feeling like, yeah, our mom's so great. Even though she wouldn't let us see that PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
And then the kids are about to eat them. And then the mom goes, but I threw in one extra ingredient. And if it was me, I would have been like, oh, please not walnuts. Because let's be real. Walnuts and brownies are the worst.
Who wants walnuts in their brownies?
My parents, I love brownies. In fact, growing up, I didn't get cake for my birthday. I got brownies. The thing that my parents used to keep me out of brownies growing up was walnuts in the brownies.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
And it worked. So mom says, but I have one special ingredient. And one kid's like, is it walnuts? And the mom's like, it isn't walnuts. And the kid's like, oh, we're probably good. And then she goes, no, I took some dog and I sprinkled it all into the brownies, but it's only in a few bad parts. You can still have the brownies. It's only got a few bad things in it. Come on, kids, eat up the brownies. And the kids were like, Mom, we already didn't go see that PG-13 movie. Come on, kids, eat the brownies. Obviously, the kids didn't eat the brownies. She wasn't that crazy of a sociopath to do that type of thing.
So that she ruined those nice organic eggs.
I know, seriously. I don't think they're expensive, especially from free-range chickens.
Dude, those are so expensive.
I know. My parents, I'm from a farm in Iowa. They have organic free-range chicken eggs. Nice. And they are awesome. So, yeah, she ruined those eggs. But this is a popular story in Mormon culture.
Yep.
And it proves even though there is a few bad things here and there, it could ruin the whole thing.
Right. And, I think that we get the point of the story.
We get it. The mom was overbearing and crazy. And she'll do anything to ruin a perfectly good batch of brownies.
Yeah, that's exactly
to prove a point that she already drove into the ground. Like, she beat that horse after it was way dead for years.
Yeah, she beat it, left it in the field, and then came back the next day and beat it again.
And then used some of its remains for a batch of cake later.
Yes.
The
hair mostly.
Exactly.
Ew.
So gross. That's a very unhealthy all or nothing mentality type of thinking.
Right.
In my studies I was doing for a while, I was going to grad school to be a therapist. I talked about the all or nothing mentality and how unhealthy it is for people. Because if you have gray area, you can kind of reason for yourself, yes or no.
Right.
But if it's all or nothing, it's like, this is instantly bad, this is instantly good. So the thing about the parable of the dog poop is what vidangel essentially is doing with movies and things like that. It's removing the pieces of dog poop that are already in the brownies.
Right. So they're just going in and kind of scooping them out.
Yeah, if we're going by that standard.
Right. So it's like it's not like they're making a new batch of brownies.
No,
no dog poop in it.
No, some vidangel guy reaches in there, hopefully with gloves, and he's grabbing out the pieces of dog poop that you don't want in there.
Yeah, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, and it's terrible. Our friend Shane Barker, we were talking about vidangel a little bit on a group meet chat with Caleb, Shane, and I.
Still need to get Shane on the show.
Yeah, we're still need to get Shane on the show. And he brought up some really funny things, and he just said them as satires.
which
But,
is like 90% of the way that Shane
exactly. He
talks.
goes, I love it. And it's what he said. He goes, I love VidAngel. They take out the stuff I don't want to see. And it was really funny. And it's like, okay, I get this. And then I was starting to think a while ago, I was like, man, why do people even want to see some of the stuff, even though they know it's rated quote R or has
Or
some
even
stuff in there?
PG-13 movies, they'll edit them a lot.
Yeah, even G or PG
Yeah,
movies.
like with that thing we talked about with Zootopia.
Zootopia.
Which, by the way, was a great movie.
Yeah, and let's
I
get
really enjoyed that movie.
We'll get into that in a little bit later. But back to my point, I was like, why do people want to see this stuff in general? Is it the appeal of it, with possibly the violence or the whatever, But then VidAngel comes and takes out the stuff they don't want to see, so they can see
Yeah.
their acceptable in their minds violence or whatever. And he said, this is so funny, and it's just hit the nail right on the head. Everyone has been talking about it, and I'm just left out because of my religious standards. I totally said it was satire, but it's so true.
Oh,
Like, and I'm
man.
sure that's how a lot of people who watch VidAngel felt initially. Oh man, everyone's talking about Game of Thrones, but I can't watch it because of my religious standards, because there's this, and this, and it's rated MA.
Well, and it's like, I mean, if you're gonna take that stance, sure, take that stance. That's totally fine. And
Yeah.
honestly, I can respect that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Good job.
Good for you.
But again, I mean, if you're gonna pretend like it's a black and white world, like they usually do,
Yeah,
like if you're gonna pretend like it's black and white, then you shouldn't be using VidAngel.
exactly.
Because if it's the whole, and this is the thing that people always will say is, well, it's not just the content, it's the spirit of the idea. And then it's like, oh, but when I remove the content, then it's okay.
Yeah,
But it's like, but the spirit of the idea is still there.
which is going back to my point earlier. The remains of the dog poop are still within the brownies.
Exactly. Like, and it definitely probably still smells like the dog poop.
Oh man.
Man, can you imagine picking up that brownie, bringing it close to your face, and just the dog
The
poop's
aro-
gone, but you can smell it.
Or even if you can't spell it, it's the fact that you knew it was once there.
Right.
It's like that Survivor man or whatever. He's like drinking his own pee.
Ugh.
That type of thing. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
Ah.
Like that disgusting.
Anyway, but yeah, it's that kind of a thing though. But it's just like, where people will try to take this stance and pretend like it's black and white, but then when it's all of a sudden something that they can do, but if they just VidAngel it, it's okay. Then it's like, okay, but you're still being dishonest.
So here's the other thing that kind of upsets me as well about not just VidAngel, but the area in general. People around here specifically have terrible taste in movies.
Oh, dude, awful.
Terrible.
Awful.
Like so much.
Ugh. I'm so tired of hearing that Johnny Lingo is a good movie. You know what? And this is the way I felt about Johnny Lingo from the beginning. But screw that guy and screw his cow of a wife. I'm tired of hearing that movie's great.
Oh man.
It has one good line and it has nothing to do with Johnny Lingo.
I mean, just
an awful movie.
Johnny Lingo's one example. Another one that
Singles Ward,
and we're not just talking just the Mormon culture, Happy Valley movies either. I'm talking this is me being kind of a film snob. Every superhero movie that comes out,
everybody loves it.
Everyone here loves
Yeah.
it, even if it's terrible bad.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be that guy. I didn't like the Avengers. I hate the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight series.
Fair.
That type of stuff. Now, if they're good movies, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Which I mean, I saw Logan last night. You're going today to see it.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, that movie's amazing.
Yeah.
Super violent, but amazing.
Yeah, and as I said, I don't think most superhero movies make good movies. Everyone else here seems contrary to that. They're like, I don't think regular movies make good movies. Only superhero movies make good movies.
And see, and I'm kind of on both sides of that. I think that you can make a good movie that is a superhero movie, but you have to do it right.
Yeah, enough of this origin story crap.
Yeah, well, and that's
I'm tired of seeing Uncle Ben die.
See, what I have to respect about what Marvel's doing currently is so with the new Spider-Man reboot, they're actually skipping over all of that.
I've heard.
So they're going straight into him already being Spider-Man, already being a part of the Civil War movie, and I'm like, yeah, good, because I'm so tired of it. Yeah. Everybody knows what happens.
Yeah.
Everybody knows when Uncle Ben dies. Everybody knows that he lives by the with great power comes great responsibility mantra. Everybody freaking knows that.
Yeah,
Even if you're not a Spider-Man fan, you know that.
exactly.
know,
Gosh,
and-
it might as well be in the synopsis of like
Yeah.
most movies. It's so ridiculous, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that's where I'm at with the movie stance.
Yeah.
As far as
Yeah.
things like that go. Plus, like another one is Pitch Perfect.
Oh, those movies are terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Oh, those movies are awful.
And yeah, I hated getting invited to movie nights with a lot of my friends around here because they have the worst taste in movies.
Honestly, I ask what movie they're gonna watch, and then if
I do too. That's
if-
why I
yeah,
I don't go anymore.
I just don't. I won't go. I mean, I had a buddy invite me over the other day. And he was like, hey, yeah, we're gonna watch a movie. We're gonna, it's gonna be great. And I was like, okay, well, what are you guys watching?
Sharknado.
No, dude, it wasn't even that good. It actually was Pitch Perfect 2.
Oh,
and I was like, there's a second one? And he was like, yeah, and it's really funny.
Which
and
means if
there's
a second one, there's always going to be a third.
Well, and I was like, I'm not really a fan of those types of movies. I think the first one was stupid. And I only got through the first 10 minutes of that movie.
Yeah, I got through about the first 15.
Ugh.
I was just like, no. Back to the movies that Happy Valley is obsessed with here. Disney movies. And we're not even talking like the new Disney movies.
No, because a
It's
lot
like-
of those are good.
Yeah, they're really like the community here. The only recent Disney movie that they enjoy is Frozen.
Which, in my opinion, is the worst of the recent Disney movies.
Honestly, I'm gonna go with that stance too. To be honest, I enjoyed Frozen. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, I didn't honestly, and I know this is a very unpopular opinion, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
Like there were,
and that's okay, and I can see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, there are a couple of moments that I thought were okay, but I was just like, this movie is it's terrible. It's poorly edited. I don't really understand why, the motivation behind these characters. Usually, you understand the motivation behind characters.
Yeah.
Or at least there's some little bit of something behind them that says, "Hey, this is why I'm doing the things that I'm doing." I didn't get that at all from that movie.
Away from Frozen, something different. They're into all the classic Disney movies.
Yeah, which are honestly terrible.
Yeah, for the most part. Not gonna lie.
I mean, there are some good moments in a lot of them, but if I hear part of their world one more time sung by some stupid BYU student, I'm gonna slap them.
Have you seen the new Jungle Book?
Yeah, I actually have.
So good.
It was entertaining.
So good.
It was entertaining.
I loved it. The CGI was amazing.
The only thing that I didn't really like about that movie, because I was very recently saw that one, but the only thing that I didn't like is I feel like they didn't give you enough information on Mowgli.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I really like the new Jungle Book. And in addition to that, my favorite movie of I think it was last year was Zootopia.
Zootopia was a good one.
I saw that on my birthday
that
with
was a good movie.
my friends Casey, Merlin, and Cameron. We saw that movie and like, man, it was good.
Yeah.
And I was so pleasantly surprised. It was so. I'm not trying to dog on Disney, but it was so good and I enjoyed it so much. I was surprised it was the Disney movie.
Yeah.
Because it had like a lot of hidden adult humor in there.
And yeah, the pop culture references were on point.
Exactly.
I honestly, I really liked the twist at the end. I mean, it wasn't like terribly unpredictable,
but it was cool.
But it was cool and it was good. It was interesting. There was references. I mean, there was references in that movie down to like Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I know. It was really it was great.
Awesome.
But around here, people aren't happy with it.
Yeah,
and you can
they
and like one of the VidAngel comments on Instagram that I saw was a mom was complaining because her children heard the word God from watching that movie, and it's a terrible movie now.
Yeah,
it goes back to that all or nothing mentality.
That one tiny thing ruins the entire
everything.
And it's like, you know what? If you can't teach your kids not to say that by yourself, then don't let them see anything.
Exactly.
And then another pretty good one. Actually,
let them live in that bomb shelter.
Yeah. Put them in that bomb shelter and just leave them there. That's pretty much what you're going to be doing anyway. So another Disney movie that was recently came out that I actually found very enjoyable was Moana.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's actually pretty good, man. I mean, one thing that I will say about it that I really like is that, and then this is a complete contrast to a few of the other ones, is that here's a new Disney princess who has a purpose and who has a very detailed backstory. that is, dude, it's incredibly compelling,
Mm-hmm.
actually. And then there's a mystical side to it, like there's magic and all this other stuff, and like they tie in Mother Earth, and dude, it's actually really interesting and really good. And then they have like there's like a demigod in the movie, and like I don't know, man. And then honestly, Dwayne Johnson's singing voice surprised the crap out of me.
Yeah, he's kind of good at everything.
I mean,
He really is.
I still haven't found something that he's not. He's good at comedy. He's good at thrillers. He's good at suspense. He's great at action.
Yeah,
And now he's a good singer. What can't this man do?
I know, seriously.
But no, that one to me was actually a very pleasant surprise. I honestly only went to see it because my daughter Elsie wanted to see it,
Uh-huh.
and she was like, "I want to go see that one. It has the
Aw.
water and the princess and the birdies." Because the Dwayne Johnson's character is a shapeshifter, so he can turn into a bird and stuff. And she she liked that and stuff. And so anyway, so we went to see that, and actually I was very pleasantly surprised by that movie. And but it still had the same Disney charm, kind of that little, the dumb humor, the animal that always gets you in trouble, stuff like that,
Yeah.
But it still was kind of a new take on Disney,
Yeah.
on what Disney really does, much like Zootopia was a new take.
Very new take.
Especially with Zootopia being a movie where it's like friend and foe are working together, but they still are super, kind of apprehensive about working with the other one, and there's a lot of judgments going on and the whole
A
time.
lot of stereotypes in that
Tons
movie.
of stereotypes. Oh my gosh.
Which is why it was funny.
but that was the thing, is
But
that
you-
made a cool point.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is you can watch an edited version of Zootopia
That's ridiculous to me.
on vidangel.
I mean, my wife and I watched that on Netflix the other day with our two girls there the whole time, and honestly, I found literally nothing wrong with it.
Didn't hear the word God.
I did hear them say the word God, but I was like,
thinking about.
but I was like, who cares?
I'm thinking
Teach
about.
your kids just not to say it if you don't want them to say it. How
I'm-
about you parent a little bit?
I'm thinking about making my own little streaming service called Vid Demon. And this removes things that are offensive to non-religious types. So it doesn't just take out God from movies, them saying it. It takes out the whole word of God. Like
oh man,
any religious undertones.
What's crazy is that would entirely alter the movie The Exorcist.
I
Imagine that movie, how terrible that movie is, like to the religious right or whatever. Imagine that, but take out the God parts. Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
would be
I'm gonna make my own service.
that would be amazing.
Calling it now. But
Patent that shiz.
yeah, but it's just so ridiculous, like that you have to pick and choose. And this is
Yeah.
just like the parable of the dog poop brownies or whatever.
Yeah, and VidAngel,
It's
honestly,
still there.
yeah. Well, VidAngel is basically the living embodiment of that parable,
And that pan.
and that and honestly, that
It has some-
sociopathic mom.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But so here's the interesting thing. VidAngel currently has a freeze on streaming
on editing, right?
on streaming well, not streaming, sorry. They have a freeze on editing new movies that are coming out. So they pivoted into something a little bit new. And I saw a preview for a VidAngel movie when I went to go see Passengers the other
Oh
day.
boy.
Yeah. And and what is this movie called, Caleb?
Tim Timmerman, Hope of America.
Yes. And
Ugh.
so I saw this trailer and I was like, man, this looks terrible. Like when I saw it, it reminded me of like the Singles Ward
Yeah.
type movies, or
But like set in high school in the 90s.
yeah, or like God's Army, another
Oh my gosh.
LDS popular movie, which already upsets me
Ugh.
because I'm Mormon and I serve my LDS mission in Los Angeles,
Yeah, in the
Where-
setting of God's Army.
where God's Army takes place. I can tell you that movie makes a mockery of my mission and my service.
Didn't you mention that your president hated?
So
that
here's
whole
what happened.
thing, or-
Apparently, they wanted to film God's Army 2 in our mission, the mission home, where the mission president was, and they asked the mission president permission to do that. And he was like, haha, no. And he just told him straight up no.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and I'm glad too, because I didn't want that happening.
No, that's well, and honestly,
And oddly enough, they tore down the mission home like about 2 years later.
that's funny. Oh, that's funny. No, but those honestly, when I saw the first God's Army, I was like, this movie's terrible. And then I saw a preview for the second one, and I was like, that looks just as bad as the first, but more melodramatic.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah, those. I have no desire to see anything like that. And honestly, I think, you know, I really do feel like Mormons could make movies and they could do things like that.
Like Saints and
Um,
Soldiers is a pretty good Mormon made movie.
Saints and Soldiers is great. Yeah, that's a good example.
Great movie.
That's a great example of that. And I feel like they can bring those things in, but they got to stop being so cheesy.
Yeah.
Because
like it's okay to be a little cheesy, but man, they take it too far.
way too far, way too far.
And so
they make comic book script movies sound like they're written by Pulitzer Prize winning friggin' journalists.
oh man.
It's ridiculous.
So this Tim Timmerman, Hope of America, is so funny because Caleb was suggesting like, hey, you and I, we should go see this in theaters.
Ugh.
And
I know.
And I was like, I don't know about that, Caleb.
Well, just so we can
But
do a review.
Just so
and
we
tear
can do a
them
review
apart.
about it. But then before the show, I said, Caleb, let's watch the trailer. And he was already cringing and throwing a fight not to watch it. Yeah, he
No.
wanted to go see the movie. The irony was thick on this one.
Dude, really, honestly, the only reason is because for our part 3, we got to have some new material, And
Yeah, we do.
it was gonna be for purely research purposes because, good heavens, that movie looks bad.
So anyway, I made Caleb watch the trailer against his will. And
It made me feel even more sad.
it made him feel even more sad. The funny part about it was it starts off with Tim Timmerman saying, "Good morning, Mar Vista High School," and which is
Yeah.
a reference to Good Morning Vietnam, which is from a rated R movie.
Yeah, rated R for swearing.
Yeah.
So,
So it's like it's even drawing its cheesy comedy from rated R movies and references.
because a lot of those movies are icons.
Yeah, it can't escape its roots.
Nope.
Rooted in evil.
Yep.
And when we were watching this, it reminded us the trailer reminded us of like a rom-com in the 90s, but didn't have a cool soundtrack.
Because let's be serious, every rom-com in the 90s had a great soundtrack.
Seriously.
I'm not a huge fan of those movies,
But their soundtracks.
but man,
Great soundtracks.
funny story on that actually. When my wife and I first started dating, I had the soundtrack to She's All That
Yeah.
in because it's a great soundtrack.
It is. It's a great soundtrack.
I really like it. And she found that and she was like, "Oh, is that like your favorite movie?" And I was like, "No, shut up. Go away."
Favorite soundtrack though.
But it's a great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack.
And I was like, "Look at the list of the songs. They're great." And she was like, "Okay, this actually is pretty great."
It is. When you're going through the trailer, like you just see how cheesy the movie is.
Ugh, terrible.
And then they get to like
Terrible.
awards, it's won, and a lot of them are just like it says like awards official selection. Like it was like
It's
it
like,
doesn't even say nomination.
no,
It
just
just
selected to a certain film festival.
yeah.
It's like that doesn't mean anything.
They couldn't even put like nomination
Yeah.
to make it sound like somewhat legit.
And then they listed the same award twice. The
Yeah.
Woods Cross one or whatever. They listed that one twice.
Yeah, they did in
And
the
I was
next
like,
scene just because like that's
okay.
their claim to fame. But here's my synopsis though of not seeing Tim Timberman or whatever, despite its high rating on Rotten Tomatoes because it just came out.
Well, it's got a high audience rating,
High audience
not a
rating.
high critic rating.
The thing about I'm gonna be that guy. I hate Rotten Tomatoes. I really do.
That's because it's not accurate.
Yeah, and to me, it never has been. People will be like, "Oh, it has this on Rotten Tomatoes." I'm just like, "Ugh, Rotten Tomatoes is terrible." And now anyone can.
You know who actually
Can
has a
get in
good
there.
rating system is IMDb.
I used to think that it's kind of gone downhill over
Oh,
the
really?
years. Yeah,
Okay.
I used to love IMDb's rating system, but it's kind of gone downhill. But moving away from my hatred towards Rotten Tomatoes and their rating system, but with any movie, you will see a high rating for anything when it first comes out.
Right.
But over time, it dips down.
Exactly.
What does it have
Exactly.
right now on Rotten
Like a
Tomatoes?
94?
Like a 94 on
That's
Rotten
outrageously
Tomatoes.
high.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually above Schindler's List, which is disgusting. Schindler's List is one of the greatest movies.
But rated R.
But yes.
But rated
Yes,
R.
But rated R. But the thing for me too is that like with historical movies like that, I feel like the R rating needs to have an asterisk next to it. It should be rated R for historical accuracy,
Yeah.
to me at least. Because it's the same thing with a lot of the World War II movies and the World War I movies. It's like, yeah, those are rated R because of grotesque violence, but it's about a war.
Yeah,
I
that's what was
mean,
going down.
yeah, it's not like it's a war against orcs.
Yeah.
Sorry, we
Even
can't go PG-13 like Lord of the Rings and still cut things heads off and show
Yeah.
blood everywhere.
and Warcraft as well.
Yeah,
But here's my thoughts on this movie. I would rather have VidAngel make terrible movies
right.
than to make great movies terrible with their editing
Yeah, seriously.
techniques.
Seriously. Because, and that's the point. I think that's one thing that we harped on a little bit in our first show too, is that, for their audience, they should just make their own movies.
Yeah.
Leave other movies alone. Let their audience enjoy their crappy movies.
Yes.
And let us enjoy good movies that don't suck.
Yes.
I put the emphasis there, a little bit of, I know that was a little redundant there, but I don't feel bad about it because I wanted to doubly let people know.
You want to get your point across.
Yeah, I really wanted to get my point across that VidAngel sucks.
Yeah, still not a fan, but we will keep everyone updated as we find out more information with their case and
Definitely.
everything.
Which I'm surprised there hasn't been any update on that.
There really hasn't.
Yeah. I guess, I know those kinds of cases
I
take a
guess
long
they're
time,
just
but-
like every Hollywood actor from a small town. I'm just waiting for my movie career to take off. I guess that's where they're at. Anyway, that's
Oh,
our
man.
show. I want to thank Caleb for coming on today.
Anytime.
And until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the MCS1 show. For bi-weekly episodes on society and counterculture, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play or Stitcher. For regular updates, show notes and links, head to the MCS1show.com or search AOL keyword MCS1.